What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown for UFC Vegas 22, Kevin Holland versus Brunson, which should be a very good card. And as always, we're going to break down these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown, go check out my full card breakdown and prediction video and also my live stream that was posted on Friday. So go check that out. So just quickly want to get into the contest I did last week. It was the parlay contest. Believe it or not, only one person actually hit a parlay, but Batista, dropped a lot of those parlays. But, shout out to Dave Crack, was the only person to actually get a parlay correct. It was a four-legger, two pushes. He had Edwards, and he had Anders, which Anders was a really good call, but both of those were pushes. So we hit Witt Semmelsberger, won't go the distance, minus 130, parlayed with Hackbrast, minus 455. He did it. He won. So shout out to you, Dave. Comment down your PayPal or Cash App, and I'll get you your winnings there. And I'll be doing more contests for UFC 260, which is next week, and I'm also going to try to get that out very early for you guys. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on it, and also hit the like button. It really does help out a lot. But yeah, for this card, I have 8 bets. I have a ton of action. We'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about some props, some parlay pieces, and should be a good night. I'm feeling pretty good about this card as a whole. Lots of decent-sized favorites that probably should get it done. But we're going to get into the first fight here, and we're going to start with JP Buys versus Bruno Silva. And I have 2 bets on this fight, and I'll kind of talk about why I like these bets. So the first one is Bruno Silva, straight up, plus 150, 1 unit on it. Kind of missed the line. I mean, he opened up at plus 220. By the time I got done with everything, I saw him at plus 150. I had to take it there, but the line has continued to move, and he's like plus 110 on some books, plus 105 on some books. So a lot of people are definitely seeing what I'm seeing, and I also have the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 125. I won on that, so I'll talk about why I like both these plays. And the thing is, I like Buys. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he has a ton of potential. He's young. He's improving. I think he has, between these guys, probably has the higher ceiling by a decent margin. It's just, there's red flags. You get into the tape. Once this guy leaves the first round, the takedowns don't come as easy at all. I mean, he slows down a lot. His striking is very labored, and I kind of have concerns that if he does not get Bruno Silva out of there in the first round, I think Silva's, definitely more talented, talented enough to, kind of grind this out and maybe even get a finish himself. I've seen Buys, get stuck on bottom. I've seen Buys taken down. I've seen him kind of give up in fights and get finished. And it says 2 finished losses on his record, once by submission, once by knockout. But once you get into it a little bit more, there was a fight that he was on his way to getting finished by strikes, and then somebody hit him in the back of the head. They called it a disqualification that ended up giving him a win. So you got to kind of look into it a little bit more. There's some red flags. And I like Bruno Silva here, especially at plus 150. I'll take that shot all day because you can argue that, Silva possibly should be a slight favorite, or even this should be a pick'em because of that kind of, in my opinion, first round or bust. I mean, maybe he's making improvements, maybe he's working on that cardio, but we haven't seen it yet. So I do think Silva is going to survive the early storm, take over as of late, and get that late finish. But that's why I like the fight doesn't go to decision here, because if Buys wins, it's going to be a finish. The guy has never seen the scorecards. 100% finish rate, 2 finished losses. So if Buys wins, I think it's going to be in the first round. If Silva wins, I can see it being like second round or third round finish. And people are really sleeping on Silva. I mean, not really, but especially the opener. I mean, they're sleeping on Silva. Opened up Buys as minus 280. I mean, I know he's getting that Contender Series bump, but that's just, straight out crazy, honestly. So I like Silva. I like the underdog shot. There's not many underdogs on this card I like at all, really. So I'm going to take the underdog shot at plus 150 there, and I also like the fight doesn't go to decision line. Buys has never seen the scorecards. I don't think that changes here. I think he either gets an early finish or gets finished himself as later as the fight goes. So going to take Silva for the win. I'm going to take him in the second or third round by a TKO stoppage. Next, we have Montel Jackson versus Jesse Schrader. As Jackson's going to be the first leg of my parlay. It depends where the line's at. I mean, if he's like minus 800, minus 900, you can look at other ways to play this fight, like Jackson inside the distance, minus 175. I think that's probably better than going with the minus 800, honestly. But I do think he wins. I think this is a kind of a weird fight. I mean, Jackson's going to be levels above Schrader in every aspect of MMA here. Schrader, 5-1 or 6-1, I think 5-1, has not fought the best level of competition. I've seen him get dropped by very, very questionable guys on the regional scene, and I think Jackson's going to finish him. Whether it's by knockout or whether he takes Schrader down and gets a submission, I think Jackson is very, very live for the finish. I was looking at the under 2.5, which was minus 190. I like it, but I'm already kind of invested in the Jackson side. But yeah, the under's a good way to look. I think Jackson inside the distance, minus 175. It's better than the minus 800 or some. I saw a book where he's like minus 1250. So that's probably where you want to look there. But ultimately, I like Jackson. I like him as a parlay piece, and he is the first leg to my parlay. But I did parlay him at minus 500. All right, next we have Roman Dolidze versus Trevin Giles. I like Dolidze here. I saw him at the weigh-ins. He looked very good. He did look a little skinny, but he's going to fill out after he gets rehydrated. He did look a lot bigger than Giles, honestly, as well. So I liked what I saw at weigh-ins. No red flags there. And as far as this fight goes, I think this is a really winnable fight for Dolidze. I think people are kind of sleeping on him here. The money's been coming in on Giles all week. I like Dolidze to take this fight down to the mat and get that submission. We've seen Giles get taken down by James Krause easily, controlled for a full round, and we got to remember James Krause coming weight class and was on a day's short notice, was able to almost submit Trevin Giles, and we've seen Giles submitted by Mearshart. We saw him get submitted by Cummings, both in the third round there. He's been submitted twice in his 2 losses, so I think the sub prop for Dolidze is very juicy, honestly. I'm sitting at plus 395, plus 400 right now. And I took a little sprinkle on. I have 0.25 units on Roman Dolidze by submission at plus 430. Is a very good ground game. Giles' chin is decent. He's tough, though. I think he can survive on the feet. And if Dolidze comes in here with the game plan of getting it down to the mat, I think the submission is very, very live. So I think plus 400 is not bad at all for a submission. So I did take a little sprinkle there, plus 430. I really like that line. But ultimately, I do like Dolidze. I was about to bet him straight. I was kind of waiting for the line to flip. It looks like it's going to stay right around where it is. And honestly, I think minus 110 in hindsight is probably going to look very good for Dolidze. But I could be wrong. I mean, Giles can come out here, maybe piece him up for 3 rounds. But, I mean, if Dolidze takes us down to the mat, I mean, it's his fight to lose. So give me Dolidze for the win. Give me Dolidze by submission. And like I said, I have a really small play, 0.25 units on the Dolidze sub prop at plus 430. All right, next we have Grant Dawson versus Leonardo Santos. Don't want to talk about this too much. Broke it down a ton of times all week, but I do like Dawson to win, but I think the line's off. I mean, Santos is definitely live in this fight, whether it is possibly getting a submission. This guy is like a 7-time world champion in BJJ. He's like a 3rd-degree black belt. His grappling is phenomenal, and if Dawson does choose to take him down, he could be in some trouble there. But what I kind of see happening is, Santos' takedown defense is very good. 88%. We saw him stuff 10 out of 11 takedowns in his last fight. Dawson coming up a weight class. I'm curious to see how that wrestling and that strength translates up a weight class here against somebody as strong, as big as Santos. I kind of see this playing out on the feet, and at that point, yes, I do favor Dawson to be coming forward the whole time, being aggressive, landing more volume, having the better cardio, being the younger fighter. I think that's a big aspect there. But I don't know, Dawson has a 50% striking defense. He's very hittable. In his 1 loss, he was knocked out by some elbows. I don't know, I took a small shot here. I took a small shot on Leonardo Santos to win by KO TKO plus 700. I think if he wins, that's probably his most likely path to victory. I don't see Santos winning a decision. He's too low volume for that. Dawson's going to out-volume a decent amount. And Santos doesn't have the best cardio. Could be a submission, but then again, Dawson, very hard to submit. I don't necessarily think he's going to take Santos down. Maybe he does. If he does, he better be careful. But I do think this is going to play out a lot on the feet. And at that point, yes, I do favor Dawson to be coming forward, throwing more volume and having the better output and being fresher as the fight goes on. I would not be shocked in the slightest if Santos was able to knock him out. Santos has shown a very good power, and especially in his past couple fights. He was able to hurt Bogatov in his last fight very, very bad, almost get him out of there. Knocked out, I think, Stevie Ray the fight before. Decent power. I mean, the guy hits hard. So, and Dawson's there to be hit. So, yes, I think the Santos KO's live. I was so close to betting Santos, but you factor in the age, the question marks with the output, very low volume, and then you factor in the cardio concerns of Santos as well. It's probably going to be a pass from that standpoint. But I don't mind taking a 0.25 unit shot on Santos by KO. All right, kind of skim through these next 2 fights because I really have no action and really no intention of betting either side. Renato versus Chazon. I like Chazon, the younger fighter. I think she's going to press Renato against the cage. A lot of probably nothing going on. If Renato can get Chazon down to the mat, I think she can have some success. It's just Renato, her wrestling's just not there. I think she's going to be at a very big size disadvantage and a big strength disadvantage. 43 years old. If you want to take the shot on Renato, go for it. It's just I'm not personally putting money on a 43-year-old fighter here who's about to be 44. So I'm going to go Chazon. I think Chazon by decision if I was to bet anything. A lot of people are talking about the Renato in round 3. Sure, go for it. But I do think this goes to decision. Both fighters are very tough. Both fighters are never been a finish. And if there was a finish either side, actually seeing it be Renato. Renato has a pretty good finish rate, I think, at 89% finish rate for Renato there. So taking Chazon, no action for it. Same thing with this next one, though. Cheyenne Bays, I think she wins. I like her to win. It's going to decision. She has a 20% finish rate, 1 finish on her record. I think the fight goes to decision at plus or minus 200. It's at minus 200 for the fight to go to decision. probably a solid parlay piece. Honestly, I see it going to decision either way, and I see it being kind of close, at least closer than the line indicates. If anything, I'd probably take a shot on Ruiz, if anything, but then again, I don't want to put anybody on this fight. Ruiz by decision plus 480, not a bad look. Other than that, it's a big pass here. Probably the fight goes to decision as maybe in my Hail Mary, but I really want nothing to do with this fight. I'm picking Cheyenne, but I just don't really agree with the line. Max Griffin versus Song Kanon. I like Griffin here. I like him a lot. I mean, he has potential to come in here in this fight and look minus 300, minus 400 if he comes in here with the right game plan of going for takedowns. Song has a 45% takedown defense. Griffin has a 53% takedown accuracy. Very good wrestler. He doesn't use it as much as I'd like to see, but the path to victory is written on the wall. I mean, everybody knows that he's got to take Song down in this fight to make it look easy. If he does not want to take down Song, if he comes in here with the game plan of standing and striking with Song, I still think he wins that fight as well. I really do, by out-voluming Song, having the better reach as well, I think is a big thing. And Song, in my opinion, in this fight is KO or bust. If he does not get that KO, he's low volume. He's going to get taken down more than likely. So if you're on the Song side, I'd bet the KO plus 420, but I really like Max Griffin in this fight. And I know it's hard to trust Max Griffin, especially as a favorite, but just stylistically, this is such a winnable fight. If he gets knocked out, he gets knocked out, but he's been knocked out once. He's been knocked out once by Colby Covington in 24 fights. The dude's durable. The dude's tough. Yes, he gets hurt a couple times in his career, but still he pushes through it. And he's hard to finish. So unless Song can knock him out, which, yes, it's possible, I think Griffin has potential to look very, very good here by getting those takedowns, getting that control time, and grinding out Song for a 3-round decision. And I do have a bet on Max Griffin. I got him at minus 177. I have 2 units on it, and I really do like that play. Max Griffin by decision plus 110. I don't hate that as well. And even the fight goes to decision at like minus 160, I think it's at, which is kind of crazy. I do see this finishing. I see this going to the distance. I don't see it finishing. So I think the fight goes to decisions, decent. But yeah, I have Max Griffin as a straight bet, minus 177. I like that line, and I have 2 units on it. All right, next we have Adrian Ynez versus Gustavo Lopez. I like Ynez here. I really like his striking. I like his power. Has very good power. When he hits guys, he hurts them. And Gustavo Lopez has been knocked out twice before. He's been dropped in quite a bit of fights as well. And I do think the most likely scenario is Ynez getting the finish. Ynez by KO plus 115 is not awful. I think the under is a decent spot to look at. I think the under is like minus 165, minus 170. Decent spot there. I kind of feel like this fight could play out kind of close, especially if Lopez comes in here with a game plan of getting takedowns. I've seen Ynez taken down actually a decent amount of times, but he is good at getting up, good at working back to his feet, and he is also a black belt in BJJ. I haven't seen much of his grappling as of yet, but he's a black belt nonetheless, so I like Ynez here. No bet for me. The line I feel like is a little bit off, but I don't know. In hindsight, he could look like a minus 220 if he does knock out Lopez, and I kind of think that does happen, but I'm curious to see what happens if this fight does get extended and Lopez is able to get those takedowns, but I'm going to take Ynez for the win there. All right, Tuivasa versus Harry Hunsucker, and I am very invested in this fight. A little bit more than I want to be on a heavyweight fight, but I really like the spot here. So I have 2 bets in this fight. The first one is a parlay with Tuivasa parlayed with somebody we'll talk about next week in Vicente Luque. Minus 123, 1.5 units on it. I like Luque to win. I'll talk about why next week. And I also like Tuivasa to win. I'll talk about why right now. And I also have the under 1.5, minus 172 units on that. And then this is not a tracked play, but I do have the Tuivasa round 1 KO, plus 175 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Go check it out. Not a promo or anything like that, but FanDuel Sportsbook does have a lot of mispriced lines. It seems like week after week. Last week I got the Span Serkinov fight does not start round 2 at plus 140. And this time they had Tuivasa round 1 KO plus 175. So I sprinkled a little bit on that as well. But yet again, not a track play. But I do have the under at 2 units and minus 170. So it's kind of interesting with that because I was looking at it like for 24 hours straight. I was refreshing my bookie, like open these lines. I want to bet the under. It opened up at minus 110. I somehow missed it. I went to go bet it. Saw it at minus 150. Went to push the button and went to minus 170. So I got it at minus 170. 2 units on that under. And basically Hunsucker's never seen the second round. He's never been 4 minutes into the first round. This guy is somebody that gasses out on his way to the cage. I mean, he's tired after a minute or two, and then he's coming in on short notice. So I really don't expect his cardio to be all that great. And then Tuivasa has fought the much better competition. He's tough. He's durable. I think he knocks out Hunsucker in the first couple minutes here. But yeah, Hunsucker's live. I mean, if you're going to bet Hunsucker, I'd bet the first round sub prop, which is like plus 1,800. I don't necessarily see him knocking out Tai Tuivasa. I think if he wins, it's because he gets Tai Tuivasa down somehow and subs him. But even then, I just don't think that's likely at all. So taking Tuivasa here, taking the under. Taking Tuivasa to win by round 1 KO, and I have Tai Tuivasa in a parlay as well. So a lot of my nights riding on Tai Tuivasa here, which is kind of scary. It is heavyweight, but he absolutely should win this fight, and he absolutely should win it in dominant fashion. All right, next we have Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. We have Gillespie minus 245, Riddell plus 205. So I have Gillespie to close out my Montel Jackson parlay, which I really like. 2 of my most confident picks parlayed into 1. Minus 139, 2 units on that. I really like that line. I don't know what it is now. Lots of money's been coming in on both, but still, I think it's a safe parlay, and I do like these safe 2-leggers. They typically do hit, and basically, it's a stylistic matchup nightmare for Brad Riddell, somebody that has struggled with that takedown defense, that ground game, and Gregor's going to absolutely exploit that. 7 takedowns on average per 50 minutes for Gregor Gillespie. We've seen Riddell taken down like 14 or 15 times in the UFC, and I just think Gillespie's going to win a pretty comfortable decision. Honestly, maybe can even finish Brad Riddell as well. So not looking at any props for this one personally. I think the sub props live, but plus 245, no need in taking a shot on that. But ultimately, I do have Gregor Gillespie parlayed with Montel Jackson, 2 of my most favorite parlay pieces for this week. And then Kevin Holland versus Derek Brunson. It's tough because I will say that I think this line is, I think it's off. I really do think it's off. I mean, you can argue that Holland should absolutely, probably be the underdog in this fight because you go through the tape and there's so many red flags with this guy getting taken down. I mean, people forget, just a couple fights ago against Darren Stewart, people forget that fight. I mean, and Darren Stewart is not the best fighter in the world, and Brunson absolutely has the style to create some problems here for Holland, but I don't know. I just think Brunson gets knocked out here. Brunson's been knocked out 5 times, and going through the career of Brunson, what I looked for was, how's this guy's top control, and, is he going for a ton of takedowns, and I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I think what I saw was like the most takedowns he had in a fight was like 4 or 5. He had 4 against Theodora, I know that, and he really struggled in sometimes through that fight and holding down Theodora. Theodora was able to get up pretty easily, honestly, so Holland has a good get up game. Holland has a lot of power off his back. We saw in his last fight against Souza, was able to knock him out off his back. And he has a good submission game as well. He throws up triangles, pretty solid off his back as well. And I don't know if Brunson's going to come out here and go with a really takedown-heavy game plan, 25 minutes, takedown after takedown after takedown. I just don't really see that happening. If Holland is able to scramble up at times, it's going to drain a lot of energy on the Brunson side. And another thing is I'm curious to see how this fight plays out if it does get extended. I mean, both guys have slowed down in the past, so I want to see it in that aspect. I'm not having a bet here. I know it sucks not having a bet on the main event. I'm picking Holland. I just don't feel good about it at all. I don't feel good about the line. I think the line should be closer. I think if anything, I would take the shot on Holland by KO. But some props I liked for Brunson was Brunson by decision plus 355, or Brunson in round 4 or round 5, which is pretty juicy as well. Maybe even Brunson round 4 KO, Brunson round 5 KO. Because he's not knocking out Holland, at least early. If he's going to knock him out, it's going to be by ground and pound after Holland completely gasses out in later rounds. Holland has a steel chin on him, and he's not going to submit Holland, I wouldn't think, maybe later in the fight. But I think if Brunson wins, it's going to be in rounds 4 or 5, or he wins by decision. And I think if Holland wins, it's going to be early, and it's going to be by knockout. And I'm more so leaning towards that Holland knockout. I just don't feel overly great about it, and I'm probably going to stay away from the props on this one and the bet, which sucks because I know it's the main event, but I can't bet Holland minus 175 because I just think it's off. So in all reality, I probably should be taking a shot on Brunson, but I really do think he probably gets knocked out here. So no action for me on the main event. I'm kind of go through my bets here, have 8 of them. We'll start with the biggest ones and go down. I have 2 units on Max Griffin to beat Song Kanan, minus 177. Do like that play quite a bit. I feel like he can look like a bigger favorite if he does implement the right game plan. My parlay, 2 units on it. Minus 139, Montel Jackson parlayed with Gregor Gillespie. And then I have Tai Tuivasa versus Harry Hunsucker under 1.5 rounds, 2 units on it. And then I have JP Bays versus Bruno Silva. Fight doesn't go to decision, 1 unit on it. And then also Bruno Silva plus 150, 1 unit on it. And then I have a parlay with Tai Tuivasa, parlayed with Vicente Luque, minus 123, 1.5 units on it. And then I have the 2 sprinkles. I have Santos by KO, TKO, plus 700, 0.25 units on it. And then I have another sprinkle, Roman Dolidze wins by submission, plus 430, 0.25 units on it. So goodness, a ton of action there. I do like how I have that Tuivasa parlay leading into next week with Vicente Luque, somebody I really like. And really looking forward to this week and really looking forward to next week. Make sure you guys hit the like button. It really does help out a ton. And also subscribe if you're not subscribed. And I'm going to be, like I said, trying to get that UFC 260 content out very early this upcoming week for you guys because it's a good card. Ngannou, Stipe is going to be awesome. Volkanovski, Ortega is going to be awesome. And then, of course, we have Luque, Woodley, and just lots of great fights on there. So looking forward to it. And with that said, good luck to you guys and talk to you guys soon.